Hello everyone. Today we'll just work on a simple mini project. This is the project where I just want to include the complete error handling framework, how we need to implement a error handling framework, and the end-to-end implementation of a simple integration flow. Okay, here we are going to discuss the integration flow, how the requirement will come, and what we need to do, and how to develop an integration flow, and what are all the testings that we need to do in order to confirm whether the integration is working or not. Okay, so we are going to develop an integration flow, and we need to build a error handling framework to catch all the errors which are coming in that integration, and how to do the testing. As a developer, we need to do the unit testing. Okay, we will discuss how to do the unit testing, what are all the positive scenarios and negative scenarios that we need to catch. Okay, so we'll just check that part. First of all, we'll just create an integration. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, please confirm once you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so first of all, we'll create an integration. Okay, let me create a folder, name it as here we are going to see the same thing what we did so far, but the thing is like we just want to combine all the stuff what we have implemented so far. Okay, so new component, process, WSS. I just mentioned it as WSS because I'm just going to use a web service server implementation for this project. Okay, so when we are going with the web service server implementation, the start shape should be the web services server, right? The start shape should be web services server, and the action is always listen for web services server. And here, first of all, I'll just tell you a requirement in a notepad, and I'll just start the session because which will give you some clear idea what we are doing now. Okay, let me take a notepad first. Okay, so you can see my notepad also, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so first of all, our requirement will be like this. I need to get, here you need to get the files from, we need to get files from disk location, based on the web service request. Okay, here based on the web service request means you will receive a call, you will get a web service call, and that call contains the information like what is the file name and what is the folder. Okay, it contains, request contains folder name and file name. Okay, so you need to get files from the disk location based on the web service request. We'll just get a web service request from outside application, and in that request we will have the folder name and file name. Okay, by using that information, you need to go to the disk connector. You just need to connect with the disk connector, and you need to pick the required file, and we need to send that file back to the system. That is our requirement. That is a simple requirement. It looks very simple, but you just need to build an error handling framework if we are if we are unable to find the file, need to send an exception send a mail notification. If we are unable to find any file, okay, if we are unable to find a file in the folder with the name what we have provided, we just need to send a mail notification. If there is any error comes, we need to send that error details to mail. Okay, so this is a simple request. Okay, this is a simple request, and I'm just expecting ideas from you guys how we need to implement these things. Okay, how we need to implement these things, and let me prepare a request for this as well. Okay, let me prepare a request for this as well. Control M. Let me take a JSON request. I will just prepare a JSON implementation. Okay. Folder. File. Okay. This is a simple request. Let me save it as request. I saved it as request. Okay. Tell me how we can implement this. Any ideas from you guys? Okay. First of all, at least you got some idea, right? What we are doing here. Hello. Hello. You are me audible?
Yes, Ravi.
So you are clear, right? What we are doing? At least,
Yeah.
like, yeah. Okay, fine. So let me create a web services server. Okay. So here, the action is create. So I already told you why we are taking these operation types based on the execution or based on the implementation, what we are doing in the integration. We'll just take that. For now, I'm just taking this as create. Okay. So now the object is disk. Okay. This get. This is my object. Okay. You can name it anything. Okay. I just named it as disk get because I'm just getting a file from a disk. So expected input. What is the expected input? Single JSON object. It is a JSON file. Okay. Request. Import a file. Import from the desktop. Request. Okay. Next. Finish. Save and close. I already created a request. Okay, which contains folder and file. Okay, fine. Now, what is the response? Okay. So for example, if we are getting, if we are taking multiple files from here, we are having a CSV file, XML file, and JSON file. Okay. We don't know what is the file that we are picking. Okay. There might be a chance of returning XML file. Sorry, I think you can't see this page. Yeah. There are many files with different extensions: XML, text, JSON. Okay. You can take any file. So you can take, there may be a requirement to take any of these files, like whether it is an XML text or JSON. So our response will be like, anything, whether it is an XML response or JSON response or flat file. So if you are expecting multiple responses, I mean, you are not sticking to a single response structure. So in those cases, we need to go with the single data. Okay, single data will send any type of response. Okay, it will send any type of response irrespective of the file that we are sending. Same, but the request is always JSON, but the response is anything. Okay. Okay. We have configured our web services server operation. Now, what we need to do? We just need to use, see, for any case, for any web service implementation when we are doing, we need to use try catch. We need to use try catch after the web service server implementation. What this try catch is going to do? This try catch will catch any exceptions. Okay, it will catch any exceptions if any exception comes. And before this try catch, there are some set properties. There are some set properties that we need to define. We call them as common set properties. Okay, common set properties. We are seeing all these are like the best practices that we need to do. Okay, so if any web service integration, this is the basic, this is the best implementation that we need to do. Okay, so first of all, we just need to define dynamic process properties for a couple of things. DPP underscore process name. Process name. Okay. So from where we need to take this process name? We need to take it from profile element. Okay. Okay. Oh, we'll do one thing, like will make you confused why we are taking this law. So I'll just take a try catch shape here. Next, we are getting the request. We are getting the request, and where we need to connect. Okay, where we need to connect now. We need to connect to the disk location. We need to connect to the disk location with the information what we received. With the information what we received. So let me take a property here, DPP, dynamic process property, DPP underscore folder, to catch the folder path. To catch the folder path. From where I need to catch that? I need to catch it from the request profile. Profile element. And what is the profile? JSON, request JSON. And I need to catch that folder here in this property. Now, DPP underscore file name. Okay. Now the same thing. We need to go to the profile element and JSON, and we need to choose that particular profile, and we need to catch that file. Okay, file name is nothing but the file. Okay, we have taken both of them in the set properties, like DPP underscore folder, DPP underscore file name. Now we need to take the disk connector. Okay, now we need to take the disk connector, and we need to pass them in the parameters itself. We need to pass them in the parameters itself. So what we are doing, are we getting or sending? We are getting. And what is the connection? Disk connection.
Disk connection.
Correct. Disk connection. And save and close. What is the operation? Disk operation. And I am not defining anything over here. Okay. I am not defining anything over here. So where we need to configure this connection directory and file name. Are we using a static directory over here? No, this directory will change dynamically, right? So we need to go to the parameters. We need to click on this plus symbol. There you will find a directory. Okay. So from where we need to take property. We already defined a property before this connector. It is dpp underscore folder. Okay. So the directory will take a value from this property. Now file filter. File filter. File filter will also take value from dynamic process property, which we already defined. So here it is file name. Okay. We have configured directory and file filter. We are sending those two values to this disk connector. And let me take a stop shape to stop the execution. Okay. Okay. We have built the core integration. Okay. This is the basic thing. Okay. This is the core integration that we need to do as a developer. Yes, correct. It is working. Now, what we need to do? Now, what we need to do? Like before, for example, we need to send the response because this is a web service synchronous call. We need to send the response. What we are doing, we are just querying. So we need to send the response using written documents. This is not stop shape. We need to use written documents to send the response what we received from disk. We need to send the response. Okay. So there is a requirement from our side. There is a requirement from our side. If we are unable to find the file, we need to send a mail notification. Okay. If there is any file, if there is no file with the file name what we are searching, where the execution will stop. The execution, where the execution will stop here? Anyone? You already worked with disk connector, right? If there is no file with the filter what we are using, then where the execution will stop? You understand my question, right? Okay, let's see. Let's see where the execution will stop. So for now, what I'm doing is like for any web services server that you are testing, okay, in your test, when you are testing that, you can't do the end-to-end testing in here in this process canvas. Why? Because if you are having a web services server at the start shape, it won't work. So let me do one thing. I'll just test with the sample data. In message. Let me take a message and I'll just test here. Okay, and I'll just test here. So let me take a no data for my testing purpose because I asked you a question like if there is no file with the file name, what you are trying to search from the disk location, what you are trying to fetch from the disk location. If there is no file with that name, then what it is going to do? It is going to fail or it will stop somewhere. What it is going to do? It will stop here at this disk location, and I just want to show you that because I hope you already gone through all the videos because yeah, these things are required. Like at least you just need to understand these things what I am asking. Okay, so yeah. So first of all, the folder. What is the folder that I want to use? So I just want to use a folder like this. This is my folder, dev folder, and I just want to use a test.txt. Test.txt, and this file is not there actually. Okay, so see what will happen. See, there is an exception. What is this exception? can't pass argument. Okay, because this is not, if when you are using any of the JSON files, when you are keeping that JSON file in a message, it won't work because the request will be enclosed in a single quotes. See here, the request will be enclosed in single quotes. The complete JSON request needs to be enclosed in, the complete request will be enclosed in single quotes. Save, test. Embedded message, directory does not exist. It is saying that directory does not exist. Okay, let me check what is the folder that I am using. Okay, this is the folder path, and what is the folder that this property has taken? Oh, it is showing that the document may not be well-formed JSON. Okay, it is saying that the document is not well-formed JSON. Let me check that. Okay, so in order to check, you can use online formatting tools. Json Formatter. I think it is not taking these special characters. Yes, it is not taking the backslash. So what we can do is like, okay, so what we will do is like, we'll just use some, so we have one more requirement. So now we just need to separate all these values. Okay, backslash needs to be sent as hyphen. Let's see that. Okay, we will see that what are all the possible values. So based on that, we will just act. Okay. Still, it is not supporting. Okay. Hyphen. 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 Yes, now it is taking. Okay, now it is taking. Now it is taking. So now what we need to do is like, we just need to replace this. We just need to replace this value with backslash when we are sending that, to the disk connector. There is one more requirement. So now the hyphen will be present in the request. Okay, and we just need to replace that with backslash. Okay. Now, in order to do that, we can't do that over here. So where we need to do that? We need to do that in a map. Okay. So anyone tell me how we can do that in a map? How we can replace that? So what is the source profile? The source profile is JSON request. The source profile is a JSON request. And let me take the same JSON request as my target also. No problem. So here in map function, you just need to use a user defined map function, create, okay, and name it as replace now or else folder map function. I named it as folder map function. Okay, it is asking for an input and my input is folder. And okay, now I just want to replace. In order to do the replace, what we need to use? We need to use string replace. String replace. So we need to replace this value with, we need to replace this hyphen with, I mean, backslash, right? We need to replace that with backslash. Okay, and Control X, Control V. Okay. String to search is nothing but we just need to search this character and it needs to be replaced with this one. Okay, fine. Now just map it over here. And after doing that replace, we need to store it in a dynamic process property. So we can use a properties over here. Okay. Set dynamic process property dpp underscore folder. Okay, so dpp underscore folder. We need to save that over here. Okay, we need to save that over here and we need to use the same folder. File to file, just map folder to folder, no problem. Save and close. Okay, this map will help us to get the right folder value. And here, no need to define a folder here because we already formed a folder in the map. Now save it. Okay. Now try to test this. Let me replace this with ID in all the places. Save. Let me test this. String replace, character to be escaped is missing. Okay. Is unable to find this. And one more thing, let me replace that because it is throwing an exception. For all the process errors, if you want to catch that, you need to replace that with all errors. String to search and string to replace. Okay. Okay. You can search the logs over here. String replace, character to be escaped is missing. Okay. Okay, let me try one thing. So instead of JSON, we'll just go with some XML and we'll just see whether it is working, because instead of avoiding the time taken, we'll just go with an XML because the JSON structure is not allowing that backslash. Okay. And when we are trying to remove that backslash also, okay, the ASCII characters, it is not taking while that string replace. So we just need to go with some other approach. So let me do that. Let me take an XML formatter. Okay, let me define path. Folder. And file name. Okay. So let me copy that over here. Test.txt. I think now this is going to work. Let me create a new thing, new profile. Desktop. First -XML. Let me go with an XML message now. Okay. So let me take out here. Is an XML message and create an XML message. Put it fine. Okay, we have folder and file name. We need to choose the file name. We need to choose the file name for file name, and let me create the folder also. dpp_folder. dpp_folder. File element. XML. First XML file. So when we are using any XML message, no need to use single quotes over here. Save. Okay. So if there is no file exists in the disk location with the folder what you are trying to search, let me check whether it is searching with the right folder name or not. Okay, what is the folder name? This is the folder name. Yes, it is correct. And what is the file name that it is trying to search? For test.txt. So there is no file with test.txt. Is there any folder with dev? Yes. If you are not having any folder with that name, it will fail for sure. Let me take it as dev, de. Okay. I just used a wrong folder. So when we are having a wrong folder, then obviously it will fail. Saying that that folder doesn't exist. See here, the process executed to the catch block. When it will be executed to the catch block, if there is any exception at the disk connector. Okay. So actually the process got failed. You can see that. View log. See. Disk create, it got failed. You can see it in the red color. Okay, so does not exist. There is no folder with de. Okay, so that's why it got failed, because you are using a try catch, right? Try catch, what it will do, it will catch the exception. So that's why execution will be routed to the catch block. Okay, so now let me remove this. And now, yes, you understand. If there is no file at disk location, the execution is stopping at the disk connector. The execution is stopping at the disk connector. So what we need to do now? So our requirement is like, we need to send a mail notification. We need to send a mail notification. So if you want to send a mail notification, when there is no file, you need to use some Boomi logic. Okay, you need to use some Boomi logic. So what you will use? You just need to understand these logics, because you just need to implement as a developer. Okay. See here, if there is any file, disk connector will send some file, right, and it will return that file. If there is no file, the execution will stop at disk connection and it is not a failure. Even cache block also won't execute if there is no file. If the folder is not there, then it will fail. If the file is not there, it will stop at the disk connector and it won't execute further because it is unable to find the file with that name, what you have provided. So in those cases, in order to implement this logic, you can use a flag implementation. We can use a flag implementation. Okay. Okay. So let me name this as flag to check. We are checking file exists. File exists or not. Okay. And here, let me create a property flag. File flag. Okay. Let me create a file flag. File flag is equal to true. File flag is equal to true. If there is any file, then the execution will be flown through this set property shape, and this property will be assigned with a value true. Okay. Now, in the second branch, we just need to do one more validation using a conditional shapes. Okay, using a conditional shapes. Let me take a decision. Okay, here I just want to use a decision, and I just want to do the decision on this flag. Okay, if it is equal to true, then it is fine. If it is equal to true, sorry. If the property value, this flag value is equal to true, if the flag value is equal to true, then we need to stop the execution. Okay. If it is not true, I need to send a error mail notification. So for example, yeah, I need to send an error mail notification. Okay. And along with that error mail notification, I need to send some response to the target system. Saying that file doesn't exist. File doesn't exist with this name. I just want to send that particular description. Okay. Because when you are hitting it from some other application, you just want to see that response, right? So yeah, we'll just add that later, because I will just show you what we are not getting and how we need to fix that. I'll just show you that. So now let me take a mail connector. We already implemented a mail connector somewhere here, I guess, in error handling part. Okay. Here we used error mail notification copy, and let me paste that over here. We need to send an error mail notification, and there I'm just providing this information like process name, execution ID, time, error description, all. But here, this is not an error mail. What is this mail? This is, here we just mentioned it as error mail notification, but this is not an error mail notification. If the file is not there, it is not a failure. Okay, you just need to notify, that's it. Okay, notifying notification, mail notification. You just need to make it as mail notification. But do we need to take a new operation? No. No need to take a new operation. What we need to do is like we need to take a set property shape. Okay. what we can do with this set property shape? We just need to delete these two things and go with the mail subject. Okay. Document property connector. What is the connector? Mail connector. Mail connector. And what we are setting? Subject. That subject is equal to mail notification. Okay. So now we are setting subject as mail notification. Perfect. Now here we need to provide all this information. We are taking them from the process name. Okay. So here we are sending it as a mail notification. And again, you just need to take the same information when there is any error comes. Again, here also we need to send that, right? Here also we need to send the same information. Here also we need to send when there is any error comes. So let me do one thing. The template may change. The error template may change. Here we need to have error description because here we are catching it in the catch block. But here this is not an error. This is not an error block. This is just the mail notification block. So we don't need this error description over here. What we can provide is like the file name. Okay. File name. Okay. We need to provide the file name over here. In order to provide the file name, we can use dynamic process property dpp underscore file name. Okay. Current date, yes, you can take it from this. Execution ID and process name. And you need to provide execution ID and process name from here also. The best practice is like you need to use the common set properties. You need to use the common set properties for these kind of implementations because the execution ID will change before and after the try catch. So it is preferable to take process name from here. Process name as execution properties. You will find it in the execution property. Process name. Fine. Now dpp underscore execution ID. Okay. Again, we need to take it from the execution property. Execution ID. And again, we can take dpp underscore. Anything else required? Environment also. Or atom. Atom name also you can take from execution property. Atom name. Okay. You have taken all this information. And process name. No, you can directly take it from the dynamic process property underscore process name. Okay. And execution ID. This is also you can take from dynamic process property. dpp underscore execution. So you have date, try catch. Yes, here we need the try catch message. Okay. Yes, copy the same message over here also. But here this is not error message. This is file name. File name. dpp underscore file name. Okay. You have timestamp and all. And notification. When we are sending this notification. Unable to find the file the folder underscore and below execution. We are sending this message, unable to find the file with name in the folder and find the below execution details. And here also it is not required basically. Execution details is nothing but the process name, execution ID and time. And if you want to give the atom name also, you can provide that, no problem. But here we just need one more thing, that is file folder name. Let me take the folder name. Dynamic process property dpp underscore folder. Okay. So we are good with this mail notification part, and we already configured the error mail notification. And in the error description, after that error description, you can write some error description over here. Failed while trying to get file from folder. Find the below execution details. So failed while trying to get the file. Here we just need to mention the file name. File. So mention that where we are tracking from DPP. Underscore file name. Okay, and the sixth one, it is also DPP underscore folder. So you just need to configure all these things, because when we are sending any mail notification, you just need to send this information. So let me remove this one, okay, because I just want to use a web services server over here. I just want to test this process. Okay. Choose this WSS. Okay, fine. And in the WSS also, we need to change the request tag. It is an XML object. Request XML. Save and close. So now we are good with all these things. Okay. Now we are good with all the request and responses and mail notifications. Save. Now we will see. We have developed the integration which is required. Now we will try to test this integration with all the possible scenarios. Okay, with all the possible scenarios. So now, before deploying any process to any of the environments, you just need to provide the extensions. Yeah. Directory is not required basically here, because we are just passing it in dynamically. Mail connector, and if there are any process properties, you just need to extend them as well. Yes, save it, create a packaged component. Next, create. Now we are trying to deploy. I want to deploy it to the test. There are no licenses available. Okay, so let me check the deployments in order to check what are all the processes that are deployed. Okay, deployed certificate process, get contacts. Deploy this process. Handling also. I'm just undeploying these processes. Okay. Now let me try to deploy. Create a package. Extend details. Next. Deploy. Choose the environment. Doing so would exceed your purchase for this connection plan, small connection. Here I am using only 2 connections, right? Now let me check the number of licenses available. Yeah, we are having all the 3 licenses available for this account. Okay. We are trying to deploy only 2 connections. Okay. Attempted to deploy 4 more standard connections. Doing so. Here we are having only 3 connections, right? Yes. This is 1 connection. This is the other connection. It won't consume any license itself. Oh, sorry. I think there are 2 atoms attached to this, I guess. Let me check that. If there are 2 atoms attached, even though if you are deploying 2 connections, it will consider that as, yes, there are 2 atoms attached here. Let me detach this Singapore atom. This will also cause increase in number of licenses. If you are having multiple atoms, it will consume multiple licenses, which will increase the cost of the project. This is also because basically this won't happen if you are working for any organization. Here we are just practicing and all, right? So now we deployed our process, okay? And we are using API type as intermediate. So if we are using API type as intermediate, we can directly hit the service. Okay. What are all the details that we need? Let me open a flow QA before that. What are all the details that we need? Endpoint URL. Endpoint URL is nothing but the hostname concatenated with the endpoint URL. So this is the correct controls simple URL. Okay, this is the URL, and what is the username and password? Under user management, you will find the username and password. Let me use basic authentication here. User management, generate copy. This is the password. Password, and this is the username. Save. Okay, so let me use SOAP UA over here. Go with the REST project. What is the endpoint URL? This is our endpoint URL, right? So we need to provide that over here. Okay. Now it is post. It is asking for the request. What is the request? We already have that in Control-C. Okay, this is the request, and we need to provide the authorization. We already discussed these things, and that's why I'm just going a bit fast. Okay, this is the username, and what is the password? We got our password. So let me change the file name. Okay. Let me change the file name here. Okay. Customer.txt. Let me run this process. Raw data. What is the data that we have received? First
Your
name,
voice is
customer.
not audible, sir.
Hello.
Your voice is not audible.
Hello. Is it clear now?
No.
Is it same for all? Like Varun?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, Ravi.
I think, sorry. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Very low.
It is very feeble.
Your voice is coming very low.
Is it fine now?
No,
Still you are
it
having
would
the
be better. Oh.
Okay. One second. Let me check my audio settings. Is it fine now?
Yeah. Better.
Okay. So you can see my screen, right? So here we have received a flat file profile. Why we received a flat file profile? Why? Because this is the file which we try to pick customer, and this customer file is a flat file. So that's why we received that flat file profile. Okay. So we just provided that file name and we received the flat file profile. Now let me go with some dummy name. So if you are going with any some dummy name, test.txt, if that file is not existing in that folder, because that file is not existing in this folder, like dev folder, see, there is no test.txt. So what I'm going to do, I'm trying to test this process. Now what it has to do, it has to trigger a mail notification. Now it has to trigger a mail notification. Okay, we received 200 okay response. Okay, fine. And see, there is a mail notification that we received, and that mail notification says unable to find the file with name test.txt in the folder and find the below execution details. The process name is process_WSS, and this is the execution ID, and this is the timestamp. So the mail notification is sending that information. So here we are using an attachment. Let me change that. So instead of going with an attachment, we'll just go with some inline text. Okay, we'll just go with inline text. Attachment, inline text. Save, create a package. Next. Okay, now let me try that. So now let me test it again. Test.txt is not there, and it is not a fail scenario. This is a success scenario, but we need to get the mail notification. See, we received a mail notification. The subject is mail notification, and this is the details. These are the details. Okay, these are the details. And now we'll test the fail scenario. So when it comes to the fail scenario, when it fails, if the folder is not correct, then it will fail. So now I changed the folder to DE. There is no folder with this name. Yes, now also it is showing us 200 OK. We are not receiving any response in these two cases. If the file name is not there in the folder, and if the folder name is not wrong. In both cases, we are receiving the 200 OK. I mean, we are not getting any response. So yeah, we'll just check that later. We'll see first whether we received a mail notification or not. Yes, we received a mail notification. And here we are receiving it as a mail notification, but this is not a mail notification, so this is not correct. What we need to get here? Error mail notification. Why? Because we are having an error description. This is a fail scenario. So in order to change that, this is the place where we need to change the subject. Boomi error. When we are doing unit testing as a developer, we will observe all these scenarios. And we just need to make them correct. Okay, we just need to test that using these Postman or SoapUI, and you just need to correct these things. And one more thing, are we receiving any response over here? No, we are not receiving any response. So let me define, or let me create some response for this. Okay, let me make it as status. Description. So now I'll just use the same message. Copy. Okay. Copy, and let me use the same file and folder paths also. I'll use those two also. Control C. So this is the response profile which I am expecting if there is any error or if there is any control B. If there is any error or if there is any error or if there is any if the file is not available, if you want to send some response, in that cases also I am just using this response. Let me save this as rest underscore XML. Save. So let me import this because I am not sending any, I am not returning any response. I am returning response only in the success case. But in failure scenarios also, I need to return the response. So let me take this branch. When that file is not there also, I need to send some response. When the file is not there. First of all, I need to send the error mail notification and I need to send the response. Okay. The response will be in some standard format. I already defined that standard. So let me take a map in order to send the response. Okay. Save. Source is same. Okay, source is safe because we are receiving that same JSON. Sorry, this is not JSON, right? Same XML request. That is same. But the response is different. It is also XML. Create that response. Okay. Import a profile, import it from the desktop, rest XML, and next, finish, save and close. Okay, this is the response map. Folder needs to be mapped to the folder, file name needs to be mapped to the file name, and I need to send the status as file does not exist. Unable to find the file with this name or something. I just want to send that. So here the status is success. But unable to find. So I'll just use string concat here. Okay. 1 and 2 and delimiter is space. Okay, one is nothing but I'll just write some content here. Unable to find the file. Unable to find the file. With name. What is the name? File name directory. And the resultant is mapped to the description. Okay. This is for success response map. Success response map. Here the execution is success. But unable to find the file. That's why we are just using this map. And in the failure cases also, you need to send some response along with the mail notification. Because why we are sending this response? The consumer who is consuming this service needs to understand whether the execution is success or failure. So here also we need to use one more map. Let me create one more map. Let me name it as error map. Okay. Here the request is request, response is response, and we need to map them accordingly. folder needs to be mapped to the folder, file name needs to be mapped to the file name, and status is error. Here the status is error. Okay, and what is the description? So here the description is, here we need to send the try catch exception message. I mean, we are getting the metadata information, try catch message, right? So how we need to catch that? So we are having this properties handy. Get document property and choose under document property metadata information, you will find try catch message. So you need to send this try catch message to the description. This is the error map. Okay, this is the error map. So now, when we created, when you see the requirement, it looks very simple. When you see the requirement, it looks very simple. Like we are getting a request and we just need to send, we just need to get the file from the disk location. Okay, so there we need to have this connector, and written documents. That's it. It works. But if you want to handle all the scenarios, if you want to handle all the success and fail scenarios, you just need to have all this implementation needs to be added. This implementation, this is the implementation which we are using in order to handle all the situations, all the exceptions. Okay, we are catching all the scenarios. Save, create a package now, add, deploy to the test environment. Next. Okay, deployment successful. Now let me try the error folder. Okay. See, we are seeing the XML message. Status is error, and description is directory does not exist. This directory does not exist, and the same folder what we are sending in the request, it will return the same thing. Now let me provide the correct folder, but here this file is not existing now. Now let me test it. Now what is the response? Status is success, but unable to find the file with name test.txt. Okay, and this is the folder and this is the file. The same thing. If we are providing the correct file, okay, if we are providing the correct file, so let me provide this contact underscore data file. Okay, control V dot XML. Now I am providing the current folder, current file name. Now let me test this. See, we are getting the file. It is picking the file. Okay, it is picking the correct file. Now let me take a JSON. Now let me try to pick the JSON file. Now let me try to pick the JSON file. Yes, equipment underscore data.json. Now let me use this file name. Sorry, this file name. Okay. Now let me test this. Yes, it failed. Now here we need to choose the required. See here, data content type plain, and this is the C data. Okay, you can see it in raw clearly. This is the file. Okay, this is the actual file. So this is how we need to implement this solution. Okay, this is how we need to implement the solution. So here we are returning all the responses. If it is a success response, yes, we are returning from here. If it is a response when we are unable to find the file, then we are returning from here. If there is any error, we are returning from here. And in all the cases, we are sending the mail notification. See here. So see here, this is also one of the change that we did. See now, this is an error, Boomi error mail notification. This folder does not exist. D folder does not exist. So that's why the subject is Boomi error mail notification. Okay, and Now this is Boomi mail notification. That's it. Why? Because unable to find this test.txt file. That's it. Okay. And why this information is required? Why? Because if you want to check what is the execution that got failed with this, then you need to catch this execution ID. You need to catch this execution ID, and you need to go to the process reporting page. Okay, you can see many executions. So how you can identify to which execution this mail notification belongs to? To which execution this mail notification belongs to? So you need to go to the filters, and there is a possibility to add execution ID over there and apply. So it will show you the exact execution of that particular mail notification. Okay, and you can see the execution over here. And same thing for error mail notification also. So this is one of the error mail notifications, and you just want to identify. So why we are sending this information to the support team? Because they need to identify, okay, they need to identify which execution has been failed, and they need to work on solving that particular issue. Okay, they just need to communicate that with the, if it is a consumer side issue, they just send some wrong message or some wrong folder. They need to communicate that to the consumer, right? So that's why we just need this information. See, you can see that execution. Okay, you can see that execution. So these execution details are helpful to identify which execution has been failed, and this process name will help us to identify which process has failed. Okay, and anyway we are getting the error description here. That's fine. Okay, and this is the timestamp. So here the process is very simple, as I told you. Here we need to get the message from the web services server, which is pushing from some X application. We need to receive that request, and we need to find the folder. We need to find the file from the folder, and we need to return that file. But we need to handle these situations also, error scenarios and when the file is not existing. So this logic is also, please understand. So here we are just setting a flag is equal to true, and that true, when the flag is true, then where this decision will goes, it will route the execution to stop path. It will stop here because this flag will be activated. When the execution passes through this property, this flag will be activated, and in this decision it will find that flag value is equal to true, and it will stop here. If it is unable to find the file, execution stops here itself at the disk connector. So this flag is not activated. This flag is not activated. If the flag is not activated, then this value is not equal to true. In that case, it will go to the false path. That's why it is generating a mail notification and returning some response. So all of you clear? Any doubts over here? It looks very simple, but yeah, you need to understand all these things. Hello, Anusha, Shravanti. So the real-time scenarios will be looks like this. Actual integration will be simple. Okay, it is very simple in some cases. In some cases, it is a bit complex. But you need to understand how the exceptions and other scenarios that you are handling. You need to understand those things, because these things will make all the scenarios that we are handling will make integration looks a bit complex. It looks like complex, but it is not actually complex, if you understand that. Okay. So yeah, this is what I just want to explain as a part of a small mini project, because I just want to include all the components, because we just included the conditional shapes and we have sent the error mail notifications, and the basic process is simple. Even though we just used the properties and we used map, we used everything. Okay, we used all the things what we have discussed, and apart from this we already discussed Salesforce, database, SFTP, and we discussed about disk and all the web service implementations using the API also. Here I haven't used API because I just want to because the core thing that I want to explain is like how we need to build an integration flow and how we need to capture all the scenarios. So that's why I just took this small process and I just explained it. Okay. So yeah. So if you see any process which is bit complex, don't get panic. Okay. There is nothing over there. The thing that you need to know is like you just need to understand the process by step. Why we are using this property? Yes. Let us take. Yes. We are using a property over here, process name. Why we are using it? Because we are setting that property over here and we are just using it somewhere else in the process. Okay. And in most of the organizations, no need to create your own error handling framework because there will be error handling framework available. You just need to copy and paste that. Okay. Because the core thing is like you need to understand. Okay. If you get any challenge to create an error handling framework for any of the implementations, then you are in a position to build that. So thank you all. So that's all from my end, and this is the last session that I'm going to take. And any questions? Okay. Thank you all, and all the best. Thanks for this is the last session. Okay.
Thank you, Ravi.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye, and all the best, Anushka and Shamita.